Hey everybody, it's Natasha Lewis with Big Rock Organics and welcome to week 15 of the CSA, and boy are we off to a rainy start this week. But thanks to our amazing picking gals, Caitlin and Caroline, they really pulled through and did a great job. So we are extending our season. We have a 2-week extension option, which we'll be sending information about, but just to let you know, because the garden in no means is done. In fact, we have some other fall stuff that will be coming up. And so definitely keep tuned for the 2-week extension option where you can opt in for that, and we just keep continuing your box and deliveries for that week of September. I believe it's the 25th, in the week of October 2nd. We have some fall crops coming, a lot of storage crops like winter squash and potatoes and greens and kohlrabi and radishes and arugula and other delicious things that didn't quite make it in time for the CSA, but they will be here for a couple more weeks, so stay tuned for that. We have a lot of new things in our box this week and a couple of things which I'm really excited about, and can't wait to share that with you. So let's take a dive in. We've got some dill, and you know, dill and cilantro both really love fall and cooler weather, and so you'll see some things take a downturn with the cooler weather and you'll see some things be really happy. So the dill is back, and this of course chops up beautifully. Stick it in the freezer. You can throw it into anything any point in the year, and it retains its color beautifully when frozen. So these are just such fragrant little bundles, and I hope that your whole house smells like dill, because to me that is not a bad scent. All right, another herb bundle we have, which is also really fragrant, is sage. And so this sage is beautiful. Of course, I feel like it smells a lot like Thanksgiving. And so sage is great in like a brown butter sage sauce that you can add to any sort of like pasta or chicken or whatnot. Sage is also great just to dry it and use it later. It's wonderful with poultry, of course, but with a myriad of other vegetables. And so we'll put in some recipes for sage. I think I've even seen people do sage tea and things like that too. But of course the sage, you can dry that, and it is really wonderful as we start kind of looking towards doing more savory, warm soups and fall cooking and things like that. All right, we got some Swiss chard back this week. You know, Swiss chard never leaves. We just try not to overwhelm you too much with Swiss chard. We'll have some kale hopefully in the next few weeks as well, as those greens are kind of making a little bit of a rebirth, enjoying the cooler weather, the cooler nights, and the rain. So we've got some chard. This would be great in a soup. Also just sauteed. Sometimes what I do is I'll saute it and add it to my mixture when I'm doing like any sort of meat stuffing for anything. So for example, I would make like a chicken saute with peppers and chopped chicken and onions and maybe even some corn and then the greens and tomatoes, and then that becomes my filling for stuffed peppers, or it can become my filling for enchiladas, or it can become my topping for, you know, pasta. And so you can get a lot of meals done that way, where you make like a simple mixture that can then be, you know, added to so many different things and done so many different ways. So chard is a good one. It's also great with pasta. So a couple of ideas there for you. We've got some eggplant this week, of course. You might be getting the Asian eggplant, or you might be getting the traditional eggplant. I think I talked about on the farm stand video update about the other night we did a beer batter. So actually I was searching and I didn't have any. So there's a very easy tempura recipe that you can do with just simply seltzer water and flour and seasonings, and it makes a wonderful tempura batter. But because I didn't have any non-flavored seltzer water, and I didn't think that I wanted mango or cherry flavored tempura, though that could be an interesting way to go for sure, I ended up doing a beer batter, and that was really delicious. So the beer battered eggplant was fried, and that was great. because I didn't have any breadcrumbs, but I did really love an eggplant Napoleon, which is just fried eggplant that's done in breadcrumbs and layered with tomato. And then I personally love like a goat cheese, but you could also use a fresh mozzarella, or you could use both. And we did put that recipe a few weeks back, and that's a yummy one. Other things that you can do with eggplant, it makes a great dip. It makes a great, ingredient in stir fry and curry, that kind of thing. I love a comforting curry. Is kind of one of my go-tos every week, is to make, a yellow curry, a red curry, or tiki masala, and all these carries a really, really terrific canned, it looks like spaghetti sauce, but it's tiki masala. And you just add that sauce to all your vegetables, and it's so delicious. And so I always am throwing eggplant into something like that, and it's so small you don't really need to peel the skin off of it. Just chop it up and add it in there, and it is wonderful. I've also seen some recipes for like eggplant cake and things like that too, so we'll try to include some of those recipes. All right, so something new, something exciting, we have sweet potatoes. So we are so excited about the sweet potatoes, and we actually have some really crazy big sweet potatoes. I'm going to take you for a little bit of a tour here. So here's what we picked for sweet potatoes for the week, and we actually have some massive sweet potatoes. As Caitlin said, they're the size of small infants. I mean, look at that, they're massive. That is so awesome. So very, very, very excited to have sweet potatoes. And so the sweet potatoes, we have a couple of rows of those, and we're going to be digging them. Now, you really do kind of want to wait a few days, actually a couple of weeks if possible. If you wait a little bit of time, the sweet potatoes will sweeten. They tend to like convert their starch to sugar or something like that as they store, which is kind of interesting because I realized this last year with the kabocha squash is a storage squash, and so if you eat it right away, it's very different than if you let it cure for a couple months actually, and it tends to get just much more flaky and sweet and flavorful the longer you let it cure. So same way with the sweet potato. So if you can set it and forget it like for a week even, you'll end up with a really much tastier sweet potato. So yeah, we got some sweet potatoes in all different shapes and sizes. And what's up with those veins? I said these are kind of look like Arnold Schwarzenegger sweet potatoes, so that's what I'm gonna call them. We got Arnold Schwarzenegger sweet potatoes for you this week, folks. Enjoy those. They're beautiful, crazy, and delicious, and very excited about that. All right, we've got cherry tomatoes. Now, all good things are coming to a slow descent in the wrap up, so tomatoes are getting a little bit slower here, so get your good tomato eating in. Should have them for a few more weeks, but maybe not in quite the quantity that we have been. So I hope you've been enjoying those. We have some tomatillos this week, and I know for sure that I'm going to be creating some roasted tomatillo salsa. I love that stuff. And then probably going to be making some chicken Swiss chard enchiladas, because that sounds delicious. These are also good raw, but roasted and pureed, so delicious. Great base sauce for any sort of Mexican cooking. So tomatillos, we finally, oh my goodness, I feel like we've been waiting so long on the peppers to start to turn. So we've got some of those bell peppers, and they're starting to turn, and so hopefully we're gonna have those peppers turning more. And I've got little lunchbox snack peppers as well. And so yeah, these are just gonna be so sweet and tasty. Very excited that they are finally starting to turn, because we've been waiting a long while on those beauties. We do have, of course, some tomato selection this week, different colors, same sort of thing. And these I've been freezing a lot. So actually, I have some tomatoes in the freezer. I usually try to freeze a number of them, and that way we can offer frozen tomatoes later on in the year. If you didn't get your tomatoes frozen, because it's such a great thing to be able to use those come winter when you really are hungry for, chili and stuff like that. So tomatoes, and then we do very few cucumbers left. So this might be the last week for cucumbers, but I saw a really funky recipe for pickle chips where you make your pickles and then you dehydrate them, and they actually are crunchy like a potato chip. And so I think we posted that on our Facebook page, but I'll have to dig that up too. But at this point, I just love throwing cucumber into any fresh, tomato, cucumber salad, that kind of thing. So delicious, and boy, are we gonna miss those cucumbers when they're gone. We got some Anaheim peppers. Now these guys, you could also take and do like a fried pepper with them. They're just so big and beautiful, and a little spice to them, but not too much. And then of course the patty pans. So your patty pans might be big, your patty pans might be little, but we are looking forward to those. A couple more things here. This box is very colorful. It's all looking very rainbowy and colorful. And so we've got a new carrot. These are actually classified as a red carrot, and we keep going around and around. Jonathan's like, they're orange. I'm like, no, they're technically called red carrots. So they are a little bit more intense in color than an orange carrot. Really long, beautiful guys. And lately, oh my goodness, I just made carrots last night, and I was like, oh, these are so good. I just boiled them, drained them, butter and maple syrup. That's my standard, just a tiny little drizzle of maple syrup on there. But yes, just delicious, and definitely thinking about maybe a sweet potato carrot soup or something like that this week. That would be delicious. And so many fun things. And I hope you've been storing your carrots because they'll last a long time in the fridge. I'm still finishing eating carrots that have been in the fridge since spring, in a bag with a paper towel. Very easy and very delicious. Last but not least, saving the best for last, we are starting to hack into our weed field. Actually, it's our squash field, but the weeds got a little crazy. But in the weeds, there are blessings. And so starting out with some winter squashes here. This is a beautiful spaghetti squash. These guys are so fun to eat. And you'll want to take and just stab it a couple times, and then you're going to cook it in the oven about 350 until it is tender, upon which you will cut it open, and the flesh is kind of stringy like spaghetti, and so you just flake that out. I like it with butter and Parmesan cheese on top, though you can do all the things you do to spaghetti to the squash, though I have to say it does have a little different texture. So I like to think of it as a different sort of squash, not necessarily going to be exactly like spaghetti, but it is delicious and it's different. And this is the first of our winter squashes. This one matures most quickly. Other ones take a little bit longer, but we have so many different kinds of squash. So hopefully I can get down there. We're gonna be kind of trapping and walking in a lot of mud here the next couple of days, but hoping to get in there and start really pulling out a big harvest of squashes and also pumpkins, and the pumpkins will be at the farm stand, so you can come get some pumpkins as well. So that is what we've got in the box this week. It's beautiful and it's plentiful, and don't forget to respond about our box extension, because there will be some really great things coming for that as well. So thanks so much for joining me for week 15 of the CSA, and have a wonderful week and enjoy the beauty of fall as it starts to descend. Take care. Bye.